Rabbitohs Radio Podcast, the number one source for everything South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Welcome to another edition of Rabbitohs Radio. My name is Grant Chappell. I'm joined by my loyal co-host and friend, Darren Brownie Brown, and Les from the Big Les Rugby League Podcast. What's doing, boys?
No, not too much, chaps. How you been, boys? All right?
Yeah, good. Just started the bulk, and I'll tell you what, I am absolutely feeling it. I'm just stuffed. I forgot what hungry feels like.
Counting calories again?
Oh, well, on the surplus this time, so we'll see how we go. But, yeah, it's got how hungry feels
It's a big
like.
trend with the young blokes, the gym, isn't it? Like, I don't think I've seen a gym till I was in my 20s, but they're into them bloody young these days, Brownie.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it's all about looking good. It's summertime coming up, so, yeah, got to get that body right, mate.
Bulk up for the winter, tread down for the summer. That's what they say.
That's it.
That sounds bloody good to me. Now, appreciate all the support out there for our YouTube channel that's been launched a couple of weeks ago. And I might do a shout out to Ian Namara, who has been putting a few comments up there. She said, I support two teams, South Sydney and whoever's playing Manly. And you know what? We're right with you there, but I'll do the same thing with the Roosters. I'll support anyone that's going to play the Roosters. So
Yeah, 100%, chaps. I'm similar. Yeah, anyone that's playing that Manly. Manly aren't a favourite team of mine. They took a lot of the old South Sydney Rabbitohs back in the day. They left the Rabbitohs and went and played for Manly. The likes of John O'Neill started it off, really.
Oh, wow.
Ian Roberts, Jim Sedaris,
Brannigan brothers,
Spud Carroll, yeah. So plenty of old South Sydney players have gone over and played for the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles.
Looks like we pinched one back, but Jamie Humphries. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. We'd just like you to like, subscribe, and share. Try and share out the episodes as much as possible. We're trying to grow our YouTube channel. Big Les?
Yeah, exactly right. Make sure to go ahead and click the subscribe button down there, guys.
And plenty of comments, like you said, chaps. And just before we get on to this Origin preview, I just want to mention we lost a great friend of myself and yours, chaps, and a big fan of the show last Sunday in Hilton, the Bomber Thomas. He passed away suddenly, and we finally get to lay him to rest today at a funeral service up here at Botany. And, rest in peace, the Bomber. He was a great man, well known in the Maroubra community. He grew up in around Maroubra, down the Bra there, and more recently down Coogee. If you venture down the Coogee Beach, you
would have bumped him. You would have bumped
Hilton
him.
Thomas was, yeah. So rest in peace, Bomber. We'll definitely celebrate your life today, mate.
He's a very good mate of yours. New name a long, long time, as did one of our sponsors, Glenn Farrer, Fats. Thinking of yourself and everyone out there. I lived down the Coogee in my mid-20s there, and I got to know the Bomber, pounding the pavement down there. He's always good friends with all the Beachies. I think the Beachies are going to be pallbearers today.
They were.
Paddy Fowles on the boys down there, all mad South fans. But, yeah, we used to chew the fat about the Bunnies and who we should sign and what we're doing. And, he always had a great tan on him. He's probably one of the blokes who always had a better tan than Brownie. That's probably used to be an argument between them two over that. But, he wouldn't go in the water.
No,
he's
not a fan of the water, but no, he went in a couple of times. It would have to be at least 38 degrees. But, yeah, Prince of the Promenade down there at Coogee, the mayor of Coogee. He's got so many nicknames. The Bomber, as we all know him.
You'll never heard a bad word said about Hilton. He was a great man, and rest in peace, Hilton. We're going to miss you very much, mate.
Yeah.
Look, there's a bit of news around about the mighty Rabbitohs. We've signed a young fella there, Fletcher Myers, a 1.5-year deal to the end of 2025. Indigenous kid who has been I think he started at Newcastle, went to Manly, and then went back to Newcastle again. And from all reports, he's a great young man, great bloke, and he's got a bit of foot speed too.
Yeah, well, I saw a 1.5-year deal on the sheet, and I was like, 1.5-year deal? I've never heard of this thing in my life. But then I realised we're already halfway through this year, and it started to make a lot more sense. But yeah, look, really talented footballer. Obviously, just come over from Newcastle, but before that, obviously, South Sydney fans, you'd know him in the trial last year, at the start of last year. When we played the Manly Sea Eagles, he was playing left centre in that game. Had a pretty decent game. Didn't have too many touches, but set up a few tries on that left-hand side, and ball skills were perfect. Still quite young, still got plenty to give, and I'm so excited to see if he does crack first grade.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to see much of him play very much, but very skinny in that area, aren't we, at the moment, in the depth-wise, in the outside backs, and I'm sure he'll fill a really good hole for the rest of the year. And obviously in 2025.
Well, we've got a few blokes out at the moment, don't we? Campbell Graham in the outside backs. You got Isaiah Tass,
Ty Munro,
big Ty Munro, and obviously Isaac
Isaac.
Tui at
Yep.
Thompson. So he brings a bit of speed. Like you look at Richie Kenner and Tane Milne, they've done a great job. Their power game's great coming out of yardage. Your defence has been good. You're pretty good under the high ball, especially Richie. But this bloke just brings a little element of speed, so he might put a bit of pressure on those guys. Not sure if he's going to play first grade or not because he's on a development deal. But yeah, look, anyway, just going to strengthen Joe O'Callaghan's team, and we'll see how he goes. You never know. A change of environment and getting around some of the boys, Cam Murray and the likes, it might just inspire him to go on to bigger and better things.
Well, we actually got some more news about another injury out. Jai Arrow, he's getting surgery on that shoulder after round 18, so he's going to be out for the rest of the year as well. That's pretty big news for us.
Yeah, well, it's been around for about 6 weeks, this news, but they had, obviously, no one said anything publicly. He said it on a podcast just recently in the last couple of days, so it's out there after the Dolphins game. They're going to shut Jai Arrow down for the year. I was calling to shut him down straight away, Brownie, if you remember at the start of the year, just to get it all fixed and ready to go for when Wayne walks in the building, but looks like they're going to get him to cover the origin period, and then Cam will be back to bring us home for the rest of the year, and good luck to Jai Arrow. We've got guys like Liam LeBlanc who can come in and do a job now in the middle. Like I said last week, he showed us what he can do. Thomas Fletcher's waiting in the wings.
Yep.
His second game back this week in the flag. So, yeah, we got plenty of cover.
I know you just mentioned get through the origin period, but exactly what you just said, chaps. We've got a couple of young kids looking to make their debuts in the lower grades, and Thomas Fletcher's one of them. So just getting a little bit of game time now after returning from injury, and that's another area that they might be just waiting for Jai or waiting for Thomas to get a bit of game time under his belt.
Yeah, well, you got Silver Havili. He won't be too far away to put his hand up. You've also got the big fella in Shaq Mitchell. I think believe he's a few weeks away. A lot of the other guys that we've spoken about are probably going to sit the rest of the year out. But yeah, good luck to them, and can't wait for the rest of this season. But one of the great Origin games by a Blues team. I'm calling the best 30-minute period from any team in Origin history the other night. The way we opened up that game, we were so physical, so dominant. I don't know about you boys, but I woke up with the biggest smile Thursday morning.
Well, definitely, it was a great feeling waking up as a New South Wales fan, but more so the fact that watching Queensland, it is the first time I've ever seen DCE rattled in a game. He is the coolest, calmest bloke you would ever see. It's the first time I've actually seen him real rattled.
Yeah, I agree with you, chaps. Probably the best half of football that I've ever seen a team play. They were so clinical in everything they did. Every pass hit the mark. Every kick was spot on. We made every tackle. I think we only missed 2 tackles in the whole half. We made one error. Ball completion was high, and we were just clinical. We were just flawless in everything we did. Every set led to something. It was outstanding. It was good to watch because normally we're on the back end of something like that with Queensland, aren't we? We're on the other end of it. But, yeah, it was really good to watch, and, the game was done at half-time.
And complete utter domination through the middle of the field as well. It got to the point in the 65th to 70th minute where even off the kickoff, they'd stop running through the middle and they'd stop taking those hit-ups. They'd spread immediately to the left and try and create something there through Hammer, who was already injured. So you could tell how stressed and how frantic they were. And you mentioned on the drive over here, Thurston was pretty frantic in the sheds at halftime too.
No, it was actually in the lead up to it. They shot down Thurston in the sheds, and he looked nervous and twitchy, and he's not like that normally. Thurston's pretty calm, collected. I thought maybe he's just got itchy feet about playing again, but it filtered out into the field. They were not ready for what was going to come to them. The first tackle of the game, they got absolutely bashed.
Oh, the contact on Collins, I think it was from Angus Crichton and maybe Jake Trebojevic.
Jake Trebojevic down low, and then the second tackle, it was him again. Jake Trebojevic down low, Cam Murray over the top. They just bashed him to smithereens.
We really knew that we were in for a great Origin down there in Melbourne once we seen that start.
But to follow that defence up with a really good attacking set, I mean, Murray, his first stint, his quick play of the balls, just a leg speed through the middle, and then obviously Payne Haas, who ended up running 130 metres in the first for 30 minutes of the game. I mean, unheard of. You've got guys that are setting the platform both in attack and defence, and especially when you're capitalising on a defensive set like that, it just puts you in a great position to win the games of football.
Cam Murray's ability to land on his front, and like you said, Big Les, with a quick play the balls, just got us on a roll. And our unsung hero, and we're going to probably talk about him a little bit later, but I thought Dylan Edwards was really strong in the first 15 to 20 minutes. His carries were really good. He was beating one or two players every time he touched the ball, especially coming off our own line and getting our sets off to a flyer. And the ability that Payne Haas has got to crab a crossfield and then straighten up and make 15, 20 metres every time he touches the ball was unbelievable. It just set us up for a really good period.
His first hit up of the game was 17 metres, the Payne Haas.
Yeah.
There was just big space in behind the ruck. I mean, Latrell's first hit up took about 2 or 3 sets to get it, but again, he nearly made 20 metres. He walked with guys, played the ball 5 or 6 metres from where he actually had his first contact.
We talk about the first hit-ups of the game. Like, most of the first hit-ups for the game was Brian Toto and then Zach Lomax into Angus Crichton, then into kick. Like, the front rowers really didn't run the ball until the second or third set. It was mainly just the outside back getting through a ton of work. And Brian Toto, I think, is a real unsung hero as well. We talk about the left edge with Latrell and Angus Crichton, but Brian Toto looked like he was bouncing off tackles every single run that he had and was just an absolute handful.
Yeah, certainly
he broke a lot of tackles. Edwards broke a lot of first contact tackles. Crichton did. I mean, we're going to go through the whole. I think the starting lineup for the Blues is just not one person can you question anything they did in the entire first half. We only made one replacement. I think it was Yo, who came on and played a nice front row role, like we spoke in the preview. It was just a clinical performance. Well done to Madge and his coaching staff. We've seen him going off in the box here. I think Matty King's in there, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Brett White might be there on the coaching staff as well.
Yep. Yeah, they did. And Cardi's in there as well. They had that team so prepared, so well drilled. Every single pass hit the mark. I mean, the first set of 6 was, again, a big power set. Bang, 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 off a turnover from the Maroons. And it was just Cam Murray digging in, out the back to Moses. And he didn't have to do a lot, Moses. He just gave it to his edge back rower who just stepped off his right foot. And it's just a giant hole. They were trying to get him on dead. And they made that point all night, and it worked.
Yeah, great line run there from Liam Martin. But like you said, chaps, I want to give Cam Murray a wrap here. Moses and obviously Liam Martin got all the accolades for this particular try, but Cam Murray dug into the line just beautifully, like he does for us week in, week out. Played that link man out the back to Moses, and Moses did well. A late pass on to Liam Martin, who, like you said, chaps, changed direction right at the line off his right foot. Beautiful line run, and just split the defence and went in and scored just beside the post and got us off to a flyer.
Well, shout out to the boys at Levels. They sort of mentioned this as well. It wasn't really a planned run from Liam Martin. It was actually more so him, looking at the defensive line, looking at how they were spreading, and then obviously made that late conscious decision to step back on the inside and go through the gap there. Obviously looking at the trends of how the defensive line was moving. Obviously Sewer had turned back in for Moses, and he stepped right through that gap and said, "Thank you very much. I'll score a try right here." So, like, you can't underestimate either the footy IQ of Liam Martin and just noticing the trends of the defensive line as well to get over there.
Well, if you look at the third replay they showed, they did a high shot from a drone footage, I believe. If they go at the back, it's a 3-on-2. We score again anyway. It didn't matter where we put the ball to. Like, Liam Martin just put the cherry on top of the cake. Go have a look at the third replay. They played that high shot. Lomax scores in the corner if it goes through the hands. Or Critter would have done it and run. It was all over. We had the fullback sweeping around at the back. We had the numbers. Again, Brownie said it. All these set plays we did were absolute nailed to perfection. The second one was another power set. We got up that end of the field. It was basically a broken play. I think he come back on the inside. Luai stepped back, did a bit of a broken pass back to Moses, and he summed it up so quickly that you can take that kick for granted, but that kick was unbelievable.
Yeah, jolly on the spot, wasn't it? And it was only fitting that a try like that was scored at the MCG, wasn't it? A specky, I think they call him in the AFL down there, and all the Melburnians would have loved it. Zach Lomax leaping high above his opposite number, and what a try to score on the MCG. 90-something thousand people in the corner there. Zach Lomax would have enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, he really high pointed the ball, didn't he? Like an NFL receiver going up in a contested catch, or like you said, an AFL guy taking a specky there. It was absolutely brilliant. I skipped forward a little bit there. The try that broke their back really was when we did a nice yardage, had a booming kick down there by Moses. Nice kick pressure from our boys, and Critter just dragged the hammer into the in goal, busted his shoulder, and that set up that second try where Toto scored in the corner off the kick.
Yeah, and once again, there's a lot of lead-up work that goes into these tries, and I want to give Robson a rap here because his service out of dummy half was second to none. Some of the passes that he threw off the deck were bullet-like passes out in front and just gave the ball players time with the ball. And, yeah, a big rap there to Robson, the hooker. I thought he was outstanding, especially the service. But, yeah, like you said, chaps, Toho, the ball's out in front. Was unbelievable.
Well, Moses as well, his organisation in this game, like for majority of the tries, the 4 try assists that he'd had, a lot of them off kicks, but just his organisation, the way that he spoke to his outside men, just the way he structured his defensive line as well, but even in attack as well, there was obviously a goal at the end of every set. And we spoke about this in the preview. The difference with what you're going to get from Nico Hines to what you're going to get with Mitch Moses. Obviously, with Hines, there was a lack of direction there. You know, even Hines was taking hit-ups at one point in the game as well in game 1. But there was always a plan with Moses. He always knew what the end goal of a set was going to be. Yeah, his organisation was real first class.
And Luai, all he had to do was get early ball to Latrell, didn't he? And that's exactly what he done on this occasion. Early ball to Latrell. He summed it up perfectly, Latrell. Took a couple steps in that beautiful flick pass. That's why he's the best centre in the world, I believe. He can do it all, Latrell. And we spoke about it in the lead up to the game on the show. He loves the big moments. He owns them, and he loves the Origin arena. And that was just one instance.
Yeah.
Angus Crichton can take credit for that try because they had eyes for Angus Crichton, who was on the inside. He got cut out, hit Latrell. And because of the power carries that he'd done in the first opening 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes where no one could get him on first contact, he was trampling blokes. They had to have eyes for Angus, and it gave Latrell a retreating defence. And good luck to you if you're up against Latrell on a retreating defence. He is an absolute beast. That's 18-0 now. We've already spoken about the Lomax try. To me, the game was done and dusted.
Yeah.
And we just continue the onslaught. Record-breaking 34 points in that first half. It was just an absolute clinic from there on in.
Yeah, and you got to give a bit of credit. I know that we're talking a lot about Moses and what he's done in this game, but I thought that Luai was not equally as good, but I thought that he had a pretty decent game. Like his kicking game, particularly the short kicking game as well, those grubbers for that left chase. He timed it perfectly, and they were all in the right spot every single time. Luai, I think, had a real underrated performance in this one.
Yeah, exactly, Les. And I know we had a team of 17 players on the night, but it was only 14 that did the job in that first half. Like you said, chaps, there was only one replacement. The 14 players were just so clinical in everything they did. Every player did their job, and it was just beautiful to watch, wasn't it?
Well,
It was just exciting.
we may as well touch on Yowie because we spoke about him in the preview quite a bit, that he needs to just play that normal front rower role. And we were talking about, obviously, in previous podcasts, we talked about the new middles, the style that, they're not really front rowers anymore. It's just middles these days.
Well, that just proved it, didn't it?
Well,
yep.
I think it proves the opposite because he played a front row role.
Yep.
He just turned himself into a front rower, and that's what they needed, New South Wales. And so did Jake Trbojevic. Cam Murray was the link man through the middle. That was very clear, and everyone just sort of knew their role.
But what I'm saying, you don't need to be that front rower to play that role anymore. You just need to be a middle player. Not a front rower. I mean, Isaiah Yeo has played 13 all his life just about, and he's come on and played a front row type role.
Yeah.
But it's called middle these days, and it's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a special game from all our boys. We've spoken about Cam. I really want to give him a rap for coming in on what? He's been off for a couple of weeks with that injury, came back in, played a decent amount of game time against Manly the other night. Come in, what a job he done.
Oh, how good is he? Look, we wrap him week in, week out on this show. He's probably one of the best middle forwards in the game. He can play on an edge. He's very versatile, plays big minutes. And like you said, chaps, to have so many weeks off with injury, come back one game and then do what he did the other night, just effort on effort. He's just a pro and outstanding. His foot speed through the middle and some of his carries that got us going forward the other night was just instrumental.
Well, Freddie and Joey brought it up every 5 minutes. They're like, "Isn't this bloke? Hasn't this bloke only played one game? Like, what's going on here? How is he
Yeah.
playing this well? Like, the quick play the balls as we spoke about, the link man roll through the middle, which he played perfectly. Just did his job out there and really simplified his role. And it came up with a pretty decent performance. And even in the second half, defending in the back row for the end of the game, I thought they did really well as well.
Well, is a good footballer, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have that ability to have
He-
a bit of foot speed and dig in and put the ball out in front. He sort of does it a little bit slower than Cam does. And at NRL level, it looks really good, but I think at Origin level, everything is a little bit quicker. Your opposition is a little bit better in every position across the field. He's only played 2 games at lock for New South Wales to start. No surprise, we've absolutely flogged the opposition 2 times. So
I just think he mixes his game up better than Isaiah Yeo. Isaiah Yeo was sort of like that one-dimensional player, isn't he? Where Cam can do a number of different things. And, that's why I'd have him as our number 13 every day of the
Well,
week.
he's very versatile, Cam, too. He's played all sorts of different positions for the mighty Rabbitohs. Now, Latrell Mitchell came in. Look, he was always going to get selected in the Rabbitohs radio booth from us three, but they selected him because his form had turned around since he came back from that suspension, and he got built every single week for club level, and his every single touch he had was just bully ball. He just bashed them, whether he had the ball or not. He just mesmerised them. Even pushing Walsh over in the dead ball line. Love that shit. Pushed him over just to let him know. He picked up Walsh another time in the second half, slammed him on the ground, pushed the bloke off in front of him,
and it's
slammed on his back. They didn't like being pushed around like that.
No, and it's his reads in defence as well, chaps. He can read the play. He's just got that instinct where he knows who's going to get the ball in. He can jam him. One try, a try assist, was in a position to probably score another try when Tahoe scored his second. Absolutely outstanding. What a player. Absolutely awesome.
High
Pretty to
football
watch.
IQ. High football IQ.
Yeah.
It's outstanding. And both centres were unbelievable in defence.
Yeah. And we talked about it as well, the IQ of him in defence, like just knowing what to do, when to do it. Coming in for the big moments in attack as well. He always executes those big moments. A lot of people criticise Latrell for his involvement, but I think that he gets involved when he needs to. He comes in for the big moment and he executes it perfectly every single time. And that's what you just need for Latrell. And I've just, seeing him at fullback for the past, year or so, you sort of forget how good he actually was at centre. And then seeing him back at centre for the first time, since he was at the Roosters or since that other Origin game the other year, he was fantastic.
Well, we've been calling for Latrell to play in the front line for a long, long time, and that's the reason why. He just proved it the other night. And he does it week in, week out with the Rabbitohs at the back, but he can be so much better for the Rabbitohs in the front line.
We talk about the attack, we talk about the defence, but the mental that we sort of put on Queensland, we got in their heads by that second half. It's just how well we were playing, executing really well every time. Moses getting to his kick every time, the kick chase on that left-hand side, always hammering them in their own end and them having to fight their way out. I mean, Reece Walsh ended up taking a hit up in the second half and got absolutely smoked. But we just got in their heads and, obviously when Critter and DCE that scuffle and Critter's come up with this one and he's tapped his head and we're in your head, mate. We're in your head. And it was right because we were in their heads. And look, I said it at the start. It's the first time I've ever seen DCE rattled in a game. Never seen him for Manly. Never seen it for Queensland because every time he comes in for Queensland, he's killed it. And he's probably been one of the better halfbacks in the game.
Well, usually we're on the back end of it. Like I said at the start of the show, that's normally us having to, deal with their onslaught, but this time it was us, baby, and we're coming for you in the decider.
The two people you haven't seen rattled, one's Billy Slater. Never seen him rattled. He's gone at the moment, Billy Slater, and it all came from the glass houses call, and it worked to a T. We'll talk about Madge later. His impact on this team. DCE, he's been outstanding at the halfback position for Queensland. It's a little bit different now. I mean, I know we're going up there and it's a different boost and you're not just going to walk in there and do what you want. But physically, I think we've dominated the first 2 games. I know the first game, the scoreboard's not there, but we bashed them in the first game.
Yeah.
Even though we're a man short, we hammered them. We physically won that battle in periods of that game.
Well, that period when we
Liam
did
Martin,
have 12 men.
He's been outstanding in both contests. And everyone has turned around and gone with him. I think between, was it Lomax, To'o, Angus Crichton, there was something like 24 tackle breaks
Yeah.
just because of the way they're running the football. Edwards as well, he had 8 tackle breaks. Like
A-
that's physically just bashing him
Yeah.
while we've got the football.
And we've spoke about Moses just before, but I'll go on to Angus Crichton. Moses, a very well-deserved man of the match, and without a doubt, like you said, 4 try assists. I think it's the first time since Brad Fittler,
Yeah.
4 try assists many, many years ago, but absolutely outstanding. His kicking game was on point. His passing game and his passing selection was awesome. But I thought Angus Crichton really tested him for man of the match. I thought he was outstanding. He absolutely bashed the Queenslanders. He's aggressive running, his aggressive defence. Hasn't he come along over the last 12 months with the Roosters and obviously New South Wales? I thought he was outstanding the other night. Set up a couple of tries as well, had a hand in them, but absolutely outstanding. And he was my man of the match.
Well, they were shopping him around last year. They're shopping around the off season. He started the season in reserve grade. The Roosters didn't want him. Let's just say it out there. They
Well,
didn't
they
want
made
him.
a play for Fafita.
Yeah, they made a play for Fafita. He backed out of the deal. All of a sudden, Angus is getting better and better and better every week. They could have had him for 600. It's looking like the deal's going to be 850.
Yeah.
So all that dilly dallying around, not backing your own players, cost you $250,000 to the Roosters. So
It could cost him a bit more after this Origin period, especially with his form in this game. I mean, if he goes on to do the same thing in Game 3, yeah, I honestly think it could be a lot more that he's asking for. But, you talk about guys that nearly got man of the match. I think if Payne Haas stayed on going into the second half, I think he gets man of the match, to be
What a
honest.
boost.
it was huge.
200 metres nearly.
Yeah,
he would have got
huge.
250 easy if he stayed on for the 60, 70 minutes. And he could have too. And they were sort of, again, shout out to Levels. They were sort of talking about, in the first game he came off and he was absolutely gassed after his first stint. Absolutely gassed. You see him come off in the early in the second half, and he's like ready to go. He looks fresh.
Yeah.
Like he looks like he hasn't played 60 minutes of football or whatever it was. It was just bizarre.
Because
Yeah.
he's so big and physical, for him to watch Crichton do what he did, even Robson, that little bloke, he's first got contact Robson in defence. There's no one in the game that can tackle like that at the hooker position. He's an animal. He watches all that and he goes with him. Like his left shoulder, they might have to X-ray. There's got to be some steel in there or something like that. Because every time he carries the ball, he turns his body, bashes with his left shoulder, then he marches with you down the field. Look, Brownie always talks about it. Front rowers don't come good to their late 20s. This bloke, he hasn't even hit 25 yet. We're going to get the best years of this bloke in the front row for New South Wales, and I cannot wait to sit back and watch
Well,
it.
there was a lot of talk before this particular Origin that he hasn't really dominated in the Origin arena, but he really stamped his authority the other night. I thought he was outstanding. Like you said, Big Les, 135 metres in his first stint in the first half. But his ability to run 15 and 20 metres every carry at that level is a big bonus. It puts us on the front foot and just sets up our sets.
And I sort of didn't notice it until I looked at the stats at half time, and I was like, this bloke's run for 135 metres in the first half.
Yeah.
He played 30 minutes. Like, absolutely insane. He had a really solid performance. And as I said, if he plays longer minutes, he gets man of the match for me easy. If he rounds 250 easy, probably has 10 tackle busts. Like, he was fresh when he
He's
came
capable
off.
of it. Well, 31 tackles, no misses, boys. Don't forget that
Yeah.
either. Like in the middle of the field, with all that fast feet moving around, and we were obviously on the back foot a lot in the second half. There was a big possession swing, and for him to not miss a tackle, mate, well done to you, Payne Haas. Another bloke I want to speak about, we chatted about him a bit earlier, but Dylan Edwards, well done for finally getting. It's been a long time coming. I reckon he's been the best fullback and the most consistent fullback in the game for 3 years.
Yeah.
What he's been able to do at club level, just the carries he's got, and his ability to not overplay his hand.
Exactly.
Like the Latrell Mitchell try. Just have a look at that one. He could have done a million things.
Yeah.
And all he did was just feed the big boy on the outside and put him over for a try.
Fed the big Tari Ferrari, and he was off and running. But credit to Dylan Edwards, scored a try on debut. He must have been shattered when he was selected in Origin 1 and had to pull out through injury. Got his opportunity in Origin 2, and, well, didn't he perform? Outstanding. Like we said earlier, his carries early on in the game just set our sets up for a wonderful start. But, yeah, outstanding, and it was great to see him score.
And it's funny, you watch Tedesco and he's pretty much involved in every single set. And then comparing that to Edwards, you're sort of sitting there in that first half and you're going, where's Dylan Edwards? Like, Isn't he supposed to be in the set every set? What's going on here? He's not touching the ball very much. But then you look at his work rate and what he's actually doing. Like, yeah, he had an absolute blinder. He got through a ton of work and, again, not overplaying his hand. You shouldn't have to be involved in every single play of every single set. Like, it just goes to show that he just wasn't overplaying his hands. He just sat back and let Moses run the team. And it was the best thing for Moses as well. And I'm sure we'll get to him in a second. But, he was clinical, boys. I've got a question for you about Moses. Say we get to game 3 and he has an absolute blinder. Is he the number 7 moving forward, or do you bring Cleary back in next year?
Oh, look, you probably have to monitor their form in the early part of next year, see how Cleary finishes the back end of the year. But Moses has really stepped up his game. Look, Parramatta, he's been out injured once again, similar to Cameron Murray. He's only had a couple of games back, and Parramatta are dwindling at the bottom of the table. So for Moses to obviously, secure the jersey for next year, I think he'd have to start the season well, and Cleary would have to be in some pretty poor form. But, geez, he did a great job the other night, and hopefully he can do it again up there at Suncorp in the decider.
I don't know if he's available Cleary in game 3. He could be still, but if you're going to next year and all's going well, say Parramatta and Penrith are going well, that's going to be a bloody tough decision.
Do you pick them both?
I can't not have Moses in there on that. But I reckon it's up there, one of the best halfback performances by a Blue I've seen since Andrew Johns.
100%, chaps.
Going back to guys like Steve Mortimer, he wasn't the best player in the 80s at halfback position, but he was great at the Origin level. Like, there's been guys that aren't the greatest club players, but in Origin they just step up.
Yeah, if Cleary's fit for Origin 3, I'm still picking Moses on the back of that performance.
The next one, quickly, would you pick Cleary at 6?
Look, it's probably an option.
Both dominant halves, but aren't they? Yeah, they're kind of the. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they're dominant halves. I don't think you can pick.
I might do the opposite. I actually still think Cleary's got an edge on him in kicking. I still believe that.
Yeah, Moses' kicking game's long. It's long and gets him out of trouble, but it's not accurate. Where Cleary can really pepper you with accuracy with his kicks.
I think I'd put Moses at 6, that running 6, and he can play off the back of what Nathan Cleary is able to do in a game, and you're never going to question Nathan Cleary's defence, and he certainly ticked all the boxes. Moses' defence on Tommy Dearden, mate, he shut him out of the game. Poor old Tom Dearden.
Yeah.
But he'd still be in a nice buff today, I reckon.
Yeah. Talking of changes, boys, Queensland, what changes do they make? Does Cobbo come back into the team? Val Holmes didn't have his best game, obviously up against Latrell, but what changes do you make?
Dave Fafita's first bloke I'm ringing.
Yeah.
They need someone aggressive, someone who can break a game open. I'm not sure who you're going to leave out. I mean, Sue was a little quiet in that game. Jeremiah Nanai, I think he's a lock, but maybe bring on Dave Fafita off the bench.
Yeah.
And we just spoke about Tommy Dearden, who missed a couple of tackles. Do we bring in Brimson?
No, I wouldn't have anyone else in the number 6. I think Dearden's the best option there. What I'd probably do, I think that Kurt Catewell was the wrong play off the bench.
Definitely.
I think that you got to go with someone like Kurt Mann. I'd be bringing him into the number 17 jersey.
Similar to what we did with Connor Watson.
Yeah, exactly right. But also similar to what they did in game 1 with Selwyn Cobbo. The only difference, obviously, is that Kurt Mann can play anywhere from 1 right down to 13. He's just been tough this year. It's not like he's been out of form. He's probably been one of the better, roaming 13s and that sort of role in the competition at the moment. Him and Dylan Walker are really making that role their own. And I think that, Kurt Mann, if when he comes back from this suspension, just to see how his form is going over the next 2 weeks, I really do think that he should be picked in 17.
Look, it's going to be...
Yeah, I want to see how pig-headed Billy is, because he said it 4 or 5 times in the press conference.
Where Queensland is.
What do you think that means? We're not making any changes.
And he knows what it's like going up to Suncorp. A lot of the Blues players have lost 3 and 4 deciders up there, and it's going to be an awesome game, the decider. It's a different beast up there, Suncorp. I've been up there to an Origin. It's electrifying. It's deafening. And these New South Wales, they're going to know what's hit them when they arrive up there for this decider.
Well, depending on what happens with Hammer in this shoulder injury too, he might be out as well. So you might have to have Cobbo on the left and Dane Gagai coming in on the right too.
Or does he stick fat with Holmes to get it done on home soil?
Yeah, well, there we go.
Excuse the pun, but I think maybe they're the ones that come under question the most. Holmes at 6 mixed tackles in the first half. I mean, as I said, he wouldn't have slept leading into that game. No one Latrell was up against him, but I don't think he factored in Angus Crichton. He trampled him a few times. So, I think Kafusi probably comes out too. He played 10 minutes, wasn't needed in the game at all. I think I'd bring in Dave Fafita, have that wild card on the bench to come on and try and cause some havoc.
I honestly think that Mo Fodawaker was pretty average as well, and Ruben Cotter's involvement in through the middle has been quite poor. So I think they could both come out.
He looked a little light in that game because of the how physical we were.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm hoping
right.
they pick him again.
Look, it was a record-breaking first half from the Blues, so not many Queenslanders were going to get noticed in that particular half. The Blues were just full of running. Hopefully they can repeat it in Game 3, and really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we'll talk about that one when it comes, but that might be about it for another edition of Rabbitohs Radio Podcast.
Up the Blues. Go the Rabbitohs.
Go the Bunnies.
All right, sweet.